Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thanks for tuning in. It's me, Naomi, with Weird Mythic Podcast, and as always, I am joined with the wonderful co-host, Serena. Hello, Serena. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So today, everyone, it is our first true crime / cryptid episode. So before we actually get started into the episode, I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there. Disclaimer, we're going to be talking about murder. So there's that.
Yeah. Big disclaimer.
Big disclaimer, murder.
And why are we talking about true crime all of a sudden?
Why are we talking about true crime, you may ask? Well, we're going to be at the True Crime Podcast Festival in Dallas in August. Thank you guys for letting us be there, and I hope to see all of you wonderful, beautiful people there as well. It is at the end of August in Dallas. Join us. Let's talk about some weird shit.
Yes, all the weird shit. I do want to start this episode by reading a review because we've been getting a good amount of reviews lately, and it super, super, super helps us if you guys go and you review because then it helps other people find the show, and that's what we want.
And you'll be the hero of the day for us.
Yes.
Thank
you. I'm going to go ahead and read one from user Nick EE89 on July 2nd. They say, "So glad I found the show. There's a ton of podcasts out there covering similar subject matter, but I love the topics this pod went with. I started with the episode on the Rake and Dog Man because, of course, subscribed and ready for more. And we love that so much. Thank you for listening. And thank you for reviewing." Yes. And we're going to be reading reviews every single week now.
Yes, and thank you guys. Keep sending those in. And of course, we're on all, podcast platforms. We're also at Instagram at Weird Mythic Podcast, and you can find our link tree there. That'll go to all of the different platforms for the show. You could also go to Twitter, where our link tree is also for Weird Mythic Podcast. You'll find all the information there. Go ahead and leave us a review. Greatly, greatly appreciated.
Yes, all the information.
Serena.
Yes.
So we have talked about when we first started the show that we, might want to do true crime, and we decided against it.
Yeah.
But what podcast is probably your favorite, true crime podcast? Because I got a few.
Okay. I have a few also. So obviously the Queen, Bailey Sarian, we love murder, mystery, and makeup. That's just a given. Right now I'm listening to a Paranormal Chicks podcast. And they're actually going to be at the Dallas festival thing that we're going to do as well. And then I really like, and That's Why We Drink, because they do both paranormal and and true crime, which is kind of what we're doing right now. So,
yeah. Yes, we both love That's Why We Drink. Great show. I got to say, when I first started listening to podcasts, I was first listening to, and I still listen to, True Crime Garage. So that's what started me off, and Morbid, exactly. Thank you.
I'm like, I know her favorite podcast.
Yes, it's Morbid, but I gotta say, my favorite right now, I freaking love Small Town Murder. I know they're really big in the true crime genre, and those guys just crack me up. I just can't get enough. They're awesome, and it cracks me up every time they talk about any small town murder. They make fun of people, and I just love that sense of humor. So.
We originally didn't want to do true crime because we just felt like it was going to be hard to make it, not tasteful, but hard to do it in a way that didn't disrespect people, which it is. It still is going to be hard to do that. So
yes,
keep that in mind while you're listening to the episodes. We're really trying here.
It is true.
If Naomi nervous laughs like she does, it's not intentional. If I nervous giggle too, it's not intentional. So
yes. So we are being as respectful as we can. Of course, we don't want to disrespect anybody, especially when it comes to crimes. But let's go ahead and get started. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So first, I'm going to be talking about a story that is close to home for me. I did know this person. I'm very close with her family. Her older cousin is my best friend. I talked to her cousins that she was very close to. So I'm just going to start off. So on October 9th, 2020, in Humboldt County, CAL FIRE and the Humboldt County Sheriff were sent to a brush fire that was near the river in Garberville. When the authorities arrived, they found a female body, and upon further investigation, it was determined that the body was that of 21-year-old Kadie Lynn Jones. Kadie, who also just went by Bug, which is what I called her. She's about 7 to 8 years younger than me. Very nice girl. Super nice. But she was sadly found murdered in Garberville in October of 2020. She was missing since the 5th of October, so from the 5th to the 9th, we have absolutely no timeline. Even today, there is no timeline on how Kadie got there and where she was from the 5th to the 9th. The autopsy did determine that Kadie passed away before the fire was set. So that tells me that she was not murdered there, but murdered somewhere else and then dropped off there, and fire was more than likely set to destroy evidence. That is my own theory. I do not know if that is true. So, I just want to talk about who Kadie was for a moment. So, Kadie didn't always stay in one place at a time. She did move from one place to the other. She kind of had that type of lifestyle where she was never in one place at once. She went around from the Red Bluff and Redding area and would sometimes take trips up to Oregon where her dad and brother were living at the time. So she was always, moving around. Kadie didn't have the best upbringing, and she was diagnosed as a schizophrenic at a young age, and she was on drugs, sadly, at the time of her murder. So I think the fact that she was already on the fringe of society and wasn't doing what everyone else was doing at the age of 21, I think the case kind of fell to the wayside. So I wanted to talk to her family, of course, and I got in touch with my best friend's little sister. Her name is Kayla. Her and Kadie grew up together. They were best friends growing up. So I asked Kayla if there was anything in the last 2 years to point to who did this to Kadie and if there was any sort of suspects. Unfortunately, Kayla said no. There was nothing. There has not been anything. They haven't heard from any tip lines, no sheriffs, fucking nothing. So I asked Kayla what she would like people to know about Kadie. And this is what Kayla had to say. She said Kadie was a beautiful, funny, outgoing girl who would stand up for anyone, no matter who it was. She was a pretty tiny thing, but she would fight anyone if she felt it was needed. She was very loving and was always there if she was able to be. If anyone knows anything about the murder of Kadie Lynn Jones, she had light blonde brown hair, beautiful blue-green eyes, and she was a tiny thing. She couldn't have weighed more than 90 pounds.
Oh.
If anyone has any information, please call the Humboldt County Sheriff at 707-445-7251 or the tip line at 707-268-2539. Still no timeline from the 5th to the 9th and no suspects. So, yes, that is one reason why we don't do true crime for how sad it is.
Yeah, it's so heavy.
Wasn't as close with Kadie growing up, as an adult, but I remember that little girl. She might have been on the fringe of society, but she didn't have the chance to change. No one gave her that chance. They took it from her.
Ugh, you're gonna make me cry.
But we have to keep these type of cases open and in the public eye, because that's how things are not solved. Just because somebody isn't living what is quote unquote normal or okay to do doesn't mean that they were a bad person. Kadie never did anything wrong to nobody. She just needed help.
The saddest part of all these kind of cases it is always the conforming people or the people who are outside of the box that are the ones that get forgotten. Yeah. It's so sad.
And I know that is probably one of the biggest reasons that all the other true crime podcasts do this type of content because they want to do that.
Yeah, we got a lot of feedback when we asked, after our first episode, which will air Sunday as well. I asked, hey, how are you guys doing, you true crime podcasters? Because we just recorded a short one and it was so heavy. Like, I'm just like, genuinely, how do you guys keep doing this? And it is because they want people to have a voice that don't have that voice anymore, and they don't want you to be forgotten. So I would hope, God forbid that ever happens to either one of us, but the internet sleuths would come in handy,
Yes. Yes. And you could just Kadie Lynn Jones. And what's great about Kadie's name is it's not Katie. It's Kadie, like Kadie. So if you just look up Kadie Lynn Jones in Humboldt County, you will find all of the tip lines, but there's just no information. So if anyone knows anything, call the Humboldt County Sheriff. Go to the tip line. You don't have to tell them who you are, but we want to know what happened to her. So help us. Let me get into another story. And this one takes place back in the 70s. I'm going to be talking about the Yuba County Five. Now, I know this has been covered by others before. So this case took place back in the late 70s, and I didn't hear anything about it until, like, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago. And I'm like, how have I not heard about this? And I brought it up to my mom last night, and she never heard of it also. And my mom is the true crime person. Like, when she was in grade school, she was reading Helter Skelter and shit, okay? Mom knows about true crime. So I asked her, and she never heard of it either. So I was like, I'm just going to cover it, because it's very strange. In June of 1978, or actually, no, so sorry, in February of 1978, there was these 5 young men, all under the age of 30. Well, one was 32, but they was like between 25 and 30. 5 young men took a trip from Yuba City, California, up to Chico State, actually. They went to go watch a basketball game, and it was Chico State versus Davis, so that's a pretty big game. I mean, awesome, right? So they went up to Chico that night on February of 1978, and they watched the game. I believe Chico lost, but, I mean, it happens. So Chico State lost. The 5 men went back to their car and went to a little corner store to get some snacks for the trip back home. It was like 10:30 at night by the time the game got over, but sadly they never made it home. So let's talk about these 5 men. So I'm going to be talking about a man named Gary Mathias. He was 25 years old. He was in the U.S. Army, but he was diagnosed as a schizophrenic. But he was fine. He held down a job. He was taking classes. He was, getting help with that. So Gary Mathias. Then there was Bill Sterling, 29. And there was Jack Hewitt. He was 24. There was Ted Wire, who was 32. He showed some signs of autism. And then there was also Jack Mardruga, who was 30 years old. He was what they said, a slow learner. Again, guys, this was back in the 70s. All 5 of these men were known to have some sort of, I don't want to say mental disability. I think a lot of it was like not reading social cues type of thing. So they held down jobs that I believe it was, who was it? Now I can't remember. Oh, Jack Maradga. He had a car, and he was driving everyone to the game. So, they were normal, just not too normal, I guess. It was very strange just reading the things from the 70s and how they described it, okay? But either way, they had some sort of mental something, okay? They go to the game, as I said. The convenience store clerk went after the game and they went to go get snacks. She does remember seeing all 5 of the men in the store. The reason she remembers them is because they came in right before closing. So she's like, hurry up and get out of my store kind of thing, So she remembers the last people and how long they took and what they bought, because they were buying like snacks, like chips and drinks and stuff like that. It wasn't beer. This is Chico State. Usually people are going to the corner store to get alcohol or something. They weren't. So she remembered them. And then they left. So, as I said, they didn't come home. And that was on February 25th or 24th, sorry. So early that next day, like early in the morning on the 25th, one of the moms, realized that her son didn't come home that night. So she started calling the other families to see if they happened to go there. Of course, none of the other families saw their son, knew where anyone was. So the families immediately got a hold of the Butte and Yuba County police because they weren't sure. Up in Chico, it's a different county than it is in Yuba City. So that was really smart of them to call both counties to report them missing. It's been almost 24 hours at this point. So on the 25th, a forest ranger did see Madruga's car, but he didn't report it. He didn't report the car to the local authorities until February 28th. Now, the reason why he didn't report the car, one, he didn't have the missing persons report. Two, where this forest ranger was on the Orville-Quincy Road. It's like a highway. It's going north away from Chico, and in February, there's a lot of people skiing, camping, because they're doing a lot of winter sports up there. So it wasn't unusual for him to see a car parked on the side of the road for over a day because people are doing their thing with their winter sports. By the 28th, he was like, no, there is that missing person. So he, of course, called it in. And really, the car shouldn't have been there. As I said, this car was about 55 to 70 miles northeast of Chico. This put them over 30 minutes farther away than Yuba City. So instead of being an hour away, they were now like an hour and a half away. They went in the complete opposite direction. Why was the car there? And no one, not a single person, was in this car. Not only was there no one in the car, but the keys were taken out of the car and a window was down. The car got stuck in the snow.
Yeah, you wouldn't leave your window down either,
no.
At that time of year in that area.
In
absolutely not.
Hell no, it's hella cold up there. Like hella cold. So when the cops were there, they did notice it looked like that they got stuck. The tires obviously spun, so it made the holes that they couldn't get out. They could tell that the men probably got out to try to push the car, but they were unable to push it out of the snow. So they started searching. But they couldn't do the search more than a day and a half. They had to call off the search due to a snowstorm. And that was it. In February, at beginning of March, they couldn't continue searching. There was too much snow. It was too much of a storm. Even that last day of the search, they had to force people to come in to stop looking. Because if anyone else was out there, they could get stuck. They could die of hypothermia, anything else. So I hope I'm saying that. Hypo or hyper. I think it's hypothermia. Sorry.
It is.
It's where you get the really cold one.
Hypothermia.
Hypothermia. All right. Yeah. So that was pretty much the end of the search. Was a day and a half, maybe 2 days before the storm hit. And then that was it. There was nothing else that the authorities could do. So later on that year, it's now June of 1978. There was this motorcycle group and they were actually going up the Orville-Quincy Highway. And there's a cabin that they always stop at. And this cabin was actually stalked by the forest rangers because it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but they keep everything stocked there for the forest rangers or anyone else who knows where it is. Just one of those stops. You actually see quite a bit of those up in the mountains because if you do get stuck somewhere and you know where a safe place is, then you can get there, have heat, and have food. And the forest rangers have somewhere to stay during those cold months or even in the summertime. So it's a well-known spot. So this motorcycle group knew of this trailer. They go up there just to, chill for a little bit off their bikes. And as they get up to this trailer, they notice that a window was broken out of the trailer. So they open the door, and as soon as they open the door, there's a horrible smell that comes wafting out. Unfortunately, there was a dead body in that trailer. It was Ted Wire. Ted Wire's body was seen lying down flat like he was in the bed, and it looked like somebody covered him with blankets. So, of course, the group of motorcyclists call the cops. Cops come out. They inspect everything. It's now a crime scene because there's this one person there and he's dead. They start also searching around the trailer to see if there's anything else that they could find to point to who this guy is. And as they search around the property, about 11 miles off the road from where the car was, they found an ID for Jack Maruja and Bill Sterling. They also found, like, human remains in that area. So now they have 3 bodies. They take them all back to have the autopsy. It was identified that Ted was the one who was in the trailer, and it was identified that Jack and Bill were the ones outside, about 11 miles off the road. The thing about Ted, though, is he was a bigger guy, and it looks like, I mean, we got to think it's been months, so a body's going to look different, especially going from extreme cold to heat by the time June comes around, you know? But the autopsy, the person who performed the autopsy said it looked like he lost a lot of weight. And by the growth of facial hair that he had, because he had no facial hair in February, the coroner said he must have been alive for 8 to 13 weeks. So now we have 8 to 13 weeks of Ted possibly alive in that trailer.
That's a really long time.
8 to 13 weeks, I agree. It's a very strange time, but then again, it's months later. Who knows how fast his hair growth is? Some people have fast, some people have it slower. Who really knows? So 8 to 13 weeks he could have been in that trailer. A few days later, they're still doing some searching around this area because now they found 3 of the 5 missing men. As they are searching around the trailer, about 2 miles north of the trailer, they found a bone. And they found some shoes, and they found an ID. Come to find out, the bone they found belonged to Jack Hewitt. And the ID was his too, so that helped with identifying the body. They found his bones. They assume that it was probably the body might have been scavenged at some point by animals. And then about a quarter mile north of the trailer, there was also a flashlight and 3 blankets found near the road. So now we have 4 of the 5 missing people at all of the autopsies. Now, I don't know much about autopsies, I pretty much know nothing, okay, about autopsies and how they're performed. But in all the reports I was finding, the autopsy, their coroner guy was saying that everything that he studied from the bodies, the remains, and the bones, everybody passed away from hypothermia, which is very strange because in that trailer that definitely, I'm so sorry, I have to go back into my notes. So in the trailer where Ted was found, there was enough food in that trailer for all 5 men to live on for a year. As I said, this place was well stocked. Not only was there food in there, but there was also propane heat that they didn't turn on. There was also forestry jackets and pants in there. Because it was so well used, they just happened to come upon it when no one was there. But there didn't seem to be any food really eaten. There was some cans that looked like they were open, but there was a huge, storage there in the trailer that they didn't open, and they never tried to turn on any of the heat. So, why, though? Why?
That's
if
super
you were
weird.
able to get some food, but you didn't search anywhere else in the trailer, especially behind a door to see if there was any more, and you didn't think to look around to see if there was some sort of heat, and even if they couldn't turn on the propane or the butane or whatever it was that was being used to heat that place, there was still there was magazines, there was books, and there was matches here in that trailer. If they didn't know how to turn the heat on, they could have made a fire very easily. So it's just strange that 3 of the bodies were found outside of the trailer, also passed away from hypothermia, and the one person in the trailer died of hypothermia and starvation. So that was another thing on Ted's, that he also starved to death, which is strange considering there was plenty of food there. So they continued to search. And they never found, and I'm sorry, I'm going to have to go back and look again, sorry. So we got Jack, we have Bill, we don't have Gary's body. I don't have anywhere in here that Gary was found. He was also the one who was the soldier and was diagnosed with schizophrenia. But they found that blanket, or those 3 blankets, and they found that flashlight about 3 miles north of the trailer. So according to the cops and other theories, they're thinking that that was Gary Mathias. So what the fuck happened? We don't know. Gary Mathias is still considered missing. They were able to have like the ceremony and whatnot for the other the other 4 men who passed away. But it's just so weird, the whole case. I don't know what to think of it. What was also weird about Ted's body is his feet were so badly, like, frostbitten that they were almost gangrenous. So why were his shoes off? If you're that cold, you don't usually take off your shoes. And one of the men who was found outside was also missing shoes. And Gary, the guy who was not found, his shoes were actually inside the trailer. What the hell? I don't understand any of that. Also, the guy who was in the trailer who they found, Ted, he did have some of his personal belongings kind of set up next to him where he sadly passed away. Except there was a watch that was right next to him, next to his wallet, and it was missing the face of the watch. But that watch didn't belong to him or anyone in the family or any of the other victims. So they don't know where that watch came from. Yeah.
Jeez.
So that is the Yuba County 5. Let me know
crazy.
what you guys think at
What do you think?
weirdmythicpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes, but first, what do you think?
Oh, man. I honestly don't know what to think because it's just strange. And when
yeah.
it's really just that strange. And when I was doing research on the Yuba County 5, a lot of people were comparing this story to that of Diet Love Pass. Do you know that one?
No.
Okay, so if anyone knows of Diet Love Pass, they are considering the Yuba County 5 just like that. I think Diet Love Pass has to do with aliens. So that's my thing
fun.
on that. But for the Yuba County 5, I think that since all of these men did have some sort of mental handicap, maybe they didn't want to make anyone mad by breaking into their trailer and using their stuff. Maybe somebody went to go find help and they couldn't. Maybe Gary, the one they can't find, since he was diagnosed as a schizophrenic, did he just lose who he was and just kept walking? There's no, real witnesses. There was this one story that I read of a possible witness, but he said he saw the guys, but he was also stuck in a car. He suffered a mild heart attack, and there's a couple other things that I'm just like, I don't know if this is legit, and I'm not the only one who thinks that. So I didn't really want to talk about that theory because I don't think it made sense. But either way, we don't know what happened to Gary. We don't know why they just left the vehicle where they could have kept the vehicle on and kept the heater on because there was nothing wrong with the car. It just got stuck in the snow. You could totally stay in the car and wait till the next day. But they didn't do that. They got out and started walking. What possessed them to leave the car? What possessed them to drive an extra half mile north away from Yuba City in the complete opposite direction? Why? Why did they drive in the opposite direction?
Don't have an answer, man.
That's my biggest question is why did they go to the opposite direction? There was no reason for them to go that way. It is a straight shot on one highway from Chico to Yuba City. It's the most boring drive ever, but you'll get there. It's hardly an hour. And they went, I think I kept saying northwest. I meant northeast. It's northeast of where they were going. Completely out of the way. Why would they do that in the middle of the night when they told their families they're going to be there? They planned on being there. They had stuff to do the next day. What possessed them to go completely out of the way?
I have no idea, dude.
That is the Yuba County 5. As I said, send us your theories at weirdmythicpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. It's freaking wild. So what kind of cryptid do you have for me?
I'm going to be talking about... I'm not going to tell you yet. So,
okay.
My story starts with Proctor Valley Road. Proctor Valley Road is a dirt road near San Diego, California that connects Hamule to East Lake. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It's like not in English, so.
You said Proctor Valley Road?
Yeah.
Okay, Proctor
Have you
Valley
heard of
Road.
it?
Okay. It sounds familiar, but I don't know. Go on. Keep going.
I think it's like Chula Vista area.
Okay.
If you're familiar with
Yeah.
San Diego. This road is known for paranormal and strange animal activity. They say you shouldn't stop while driving along this road, especially at night. The road is home to the Proctor Valley hitchhiker. So a woman in white or blue gown can be seen along this road. Sometimes the figure is spotted huddling on the road. According to a psychic medium, the Proctor Valley hitchhiker is a malevolent spirit who died violently on the road. Some stories say she died in a car accident. In other versions, she was raped and murdered.
As we've talked about with the ladies in white.
Yes, the demon car. If you're traveling down the dirt road at night, you may see a set of headlights following your car. When you start going faster, the headlights will start gaining on you. Drivers who lived to tell the tale share that they feel as if the demon car was trying to kill them. The headlights would get closer and closer until they were tailgating them, trying to run them off the road. Then it would appear that there's no car behind them, just a pair of headlights and pitch black darkness. The chase continues until the edge of the dirt road, where you will then see headlights slowly backing away until they disappear. There are many stories that come out of Proctor Valley Road. Many drivers have come across screaming banshees, a wild flying ball of fire, and even El Chupacabra.
Banshees and fire.
Seriously. But I'm here today to talk to you about the Proctor Valley Monster.
Okay.
So, the Proctor Valley Monster was first sighted in what seems to be the 60s, and it seems like the encounters only are from like the 60s to the 70s. And then they like died off. So it's like just an, I would say, urban legend, right?
Right.
One version of the first encounter goes like this, and it's a story we've heard hundreds of times in different versions. Okay, I'm just going to throw that out there. But this is what they said. Two teens were driving through Proctor Valley Road late one night, and they got a flat tire. The guy pulled off to the side of the road, and he stops the car underneath a tree. He gets out to assess the damage, and his girlfriend locks the door when he steps out. She's sitting there in the dark for a while, and all of a sudden she hears scraping along the roof of the car. When the cops rescue her in the morning, she learns that the scraping noise was her boyfriend's fingernails, because he was hanging by his feet from the tree, and there were animal-like footprints around the car. So we've heard that story hundreds of times, right?
Yeah, but it's
different.
still
There's like the Hook Man.
It's still the
or whatever.
whole thing about she falls asleep in the car. It's pitch black. She hears that strange scraping noise, and it turns out to be the dead boyfriend, like hanging.
Yeah,
it does. It gives me chills, and I think it
still
almost makes me physically sick. And I've heard the story so many times, and I'm
still
like,
creepy though.
So creepy.
So I did some digging, and I tried to find like an article or something that I could, see that documented it. I couldn't find anything. So it's not documented. It's just what they say, right?
Right.
The way that the monster looks differs so much. So some people say it's a huge flying beast, and some people say that some people claim that it looks like a disarranged cow. Oh. And then in the 70s, a local radio DJ actually organized, allegedly, a nighttime monster hunt, and thousands of teens in the area showed up, and they apparently recorded that they had seen an oddly built bovine. I also couldn't find an article, okay? If that happened, wouldn't there be documentation?
I agree.
Like,
if it was
thousands
like
of people are gathering.
Yeah, and that studio put it together. Like, there's got to be something like, today's the day, we're going to go look for the monster, something somewhere.
So, I couldn't find anything on that. That's like the short story about the Proctor Valley Monster, but I kind of want to go visit that road. It's still a dirt road today, like 2022. It's still a dirt road. So we should go around 3 a.m.
I'm 100% down to go see if I see any banshees, balls of fire, or monsters.
The balls of fire are so intriguing to me for some reason.
Same here.
Why?
That's what I'm like. Banshees
why is
and
that
balls
what
of
I want to
fire.
see?
I don't know why it's that. Like, I want to see that too. I'm with you.
I couldn't find anything else that's like, oh, show me the stories about the balls of fire or something, you know? And yeah, no, we're going to have to go see it for ourselves because that sounds so intriguing. There are a bunch of, I think a different podcast covered the Proctor Valley Road and said a couple things too, but I just wanted to make that short and sweet because we are focusing on true crime this month. So.
No, I liked that. Yeah, I want to say the demon car is what I've heard of before, but I didn't know that it was associated with the Proctor Valley Road. Okay.
I think that there's that on Route 666 as well.
Oh, yeah, and you covered that. That's right.
Yeah, I think that's one of those as well. And I mean, it was on Supernatural, it's mainstream, so it's just crazy how everybody takes these legends and then it's like, where did it start though? Maybe it did start on Proctor Valley Road. Maybe that was the first demon car. But
I'm with you. It's like, even though these urban legends and these stories can be found in different states or even different countries, it started from somewhere. I don't think somebody really just, I'm going to make up a story of a demon car that ran me off the road. Like, you're not going to gain anything from that except people think you're crazy. So I don't think that people try to do that. I mean, I'm sure there are some that definitely do, but I don't know. I'm like you. I want to know where the story originated from exactly, which is from the 60s and 70s. We ain't going to get that answer.
No, unfortunately we're not. But the whole search party thing to me was funny too because... Yeah. We've only covered a couple stories where huge groups or radio DJs get involved, right?
The Van Meter monster. People went searching and apparently killed it. Like, that's crazy. They had a group of people saying that they saw it. And that was, and I don't know if it was in the newspaper, but it was like later on when they were covering the story, you know?
Yeah. Super weird. So I don't know. I want to know what you guys think about that and if you have the guts to go to this road because I say that, but we all know I'm a huge baby and probably Naomi's going to have to go by herself.
I don't want to go alone.
You can borrow my car. I'll just tape a picture of myself in the passenger seat. And then...
Can I have you on speakerphone?
Yeah, I'll connect to the Bluetooth. It'll be fine.
Okay, I feel better now. I'll go.
All of a sudden, like, the car starts, like, malfunctioning and electronics don't work anymore. That's like the 11-mile road when you're going down the road and you have, like, all the car issues.
All the car issues, and you can't acknowledge any of it.
No, that is what is so crazy is your car stalls. You have to... close your eyes. If you guys haven't listened to our Haunted Games episode, we encourage you. It was rough in the beginning, but it is worth a listen because those games are creepy.
It's fun because we want to do some of them, and the only one that we've actually did is probably when we were kids with Ouija boards and Bloody Mary and shit. But yeah, 11 Mile Road, I agree. If it's like, you can't ignore a devil car though. 11 Mile Road, that's you in your car, but a devil car coming up behind you, you're going to try to get out of the way.
Heck yeah, I am. I don't even like when people tailgate me now and I go like 100 on the freeway. Can you imagine? Like, you're tailgating me now? Oh my gosh. My dumbass would try to brake check the fucking demon car and like die or something.
Oh man. Oh shit.
You'll learn today.
You'll learn today. Today is that day.
Today is the day.
Man, well, yeah, let us know if anyone's been to the Proctor Valley Road and checked it out. Let us know if you've seen anything weird.
Yep, we want to know. You can send those stories to us at weirdmythicpodcast@gmail.com, or you can slide into the DMs at twitter.com/weirdmythic.
That's right. You could also go
Don't be weird, okay?
Don't be weird, but tell us weird things. No, I don't like the way that sounds either. I don't know. Just weird
Don't tell me weird things. Tell me scary things. Well, I don't know. This could go one of two ways, and I'm not ready for that. If you have anything related to the podcast, let me know.
I'm like, dude, I think we're going the wrong way with this.
Wrong audience.
Oh, shit. Yes. Go to Twitter for Weird Mythic Podcast and, Instagram also at Weird Mythic Podcast. We're on Facebook at Weird Mythic. And again, you guys, I hope to see some of you in Dallas at the end of August for the True Crime Podcast Festival.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be litty titty and we're going to get wasted.
Liddy.
This is not even the latest we've recorded, and I don't know why I'm this delirious, but here we are.
Long freaking week. It's the heat. Just say it's the heat.
I think so. And it was my birthday, so yeah.
That's right, everyone. I suck as a co-host. Happy belated birthday. I did send her a text, okay? I just sent her a text.
Thank you. A lot of people responded on Twitter, too. I felt the love for sure.
Yes. Well, all right. Well, I think that's it for tonight, guys. We'll talk next week.